Every single team in Major League Baseball has once upon a time given out a bad contract or two, whether it was the Yankees and Jacoby Ellsbury or the Red Sox and that guy that everyone seems to forget about, Rusney Castillo. That dude stole money. So in today's video, we're gonna go ahead and rank the top 10 worst contracts in baseball going into 2023, and number one, ooh, it's bad. Now, we do have some honorable mentions. James McCann got 4 years, $40.6 million from the Mets. He's not even on the Mets anymore. Now, I think that Yoan Moncada has all the talent in the world, but 5 years, $70 million from the White Sox, if he doesn't perform in 2022, yeah, that's gonna be looking rough. Staying with 5-year contracts, Madison Bumgarner got $85 million from the Diamondbacks, and yeah, he was one of the worst pitchers in baseball, not only in 2022, but the year before that as well. And then obviously, Marcell Ozuna and Trevor Bauer, for obvious reasons. All right, let's get into the actual list. At number 10, I have Nick Castellanos. He got a 5-year contract worth $100 million from the Phillies. And what did he do? He had one of his worst seasons as a professional baseball player, a negative WAR. He only had 13 home runs, a 95 OPS plus. Now, again, I will give Nick some credit. His defense did get a little bit better, especially when it came down to being clutch in the playoffs. But offensively, he took 5 steps back. I'm hoping that he bounces back because 5 years, $100 million. It's not the worst, so that's why it's at number 10, but it's still not good. Now, this one pains me because I love Kris Bryant. He's a 702 boy. All that means is he's from Las Vegas. I really think that he was pretty solid last year in the amount of time that he was healthy. Now, of course, that's part of the reason why this contract is bad. Kris Bryant has been injury prone for quite some time. Last year, he had a 306 batting average with a lot of extra base hits and a 127 OPS plus, so I'm not worried about Kris Bryant fulfilling this contract talent-wise, but when it comes to staying healthy and the Rockies' general plan, I have no idea what they're doing. Their owner a few days ago said that, yeah, they can play 500 ball. With what talent? You've added one free agent, and his name is Pierce Johnson, I think. Who's Pierce Johnson? Speaking of question marks in regards to health, Chris Sale got a mammoth deal. He got 5 years, $145 million from the Boston Red Sox. Now, of course, that was back in 2020. So since that point, it's been kind of downhill. Now, just like Kris Bryant, Chris Sale, it's not like he fell off a cliff talent-wise. In his last 11 starts, he has a 3.17 ERA and a pretty decent 3.54 FIP, so still pretty good. The only problem is those 11 starts didn't come in 2022. They came in 2021 and 2022 combined. 11 starts, 48 innings over the last 2 seasons. He missed all of 2020 with injury. He's injured yet again. So for me, guys like Chris Sale and Kris Bryant, they're on the list because they can't stay healthy. So there are 2 players in this video that I really feel like are going to take a step forward in 2023. I can't tell you why. Maybe I'm a eternal optimist, but I feel like Christian Yelich and another player that we'll talk about later on, they're actually going to be good in 2023, but so far their contracts have been an albatross. They've been bad. From 2018 to 2019, Christian Yelich, in my opinion, was a top 5 player in baseball. You could argue Aaron Judge, you could argue Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, of course, but for me, Christian Yelich had a 171 OPS plus, and he hit 327 over the course of 2018 and 2019. Then he was given that contract. If you guys don't remember, it was a big one. 9 years, $215 million, and since that point, yeah, the production has really fallen. So let me know in the comments, do you think that Christian Yelich is overpaid, or do you think that he's gonna be better in 2023 and earn that contract? Now, it pains me to put Giancarlo Stanton on this list because he still had huge power numbers last season. He missed a bunch of games. He only played in 110, but he still had 31 home runs and 398 at-bats. He had a 113 OPS plus, so it wasn't like he was useless, but he had a 297 on base percentage. He only played in 18 games in 2019. He missed a bunch of games in the shortened season. He only played in 23 of, I think it was 60 games or something like that. And for the most part, the only reason why Giancarlo Stanton is on this list is because he's making $30+ million a year. He's injured quite often. And for me, the best ability is availability. Jose Berrios is the 5th worst contract, in my opinion, going into 2023, and that's because he was terrible last year. Now, I did have some Jays fans kind of correct me that Jose Berrios, when he was bad, he was awful, horrific, and that's why his ERA was at 5.23, but he did have some stretches of being pretty good. But for me, Jose Berrios, it's a 7-year contract, $131 million. The first few years, not so bad, but it climbs to $24.7 million in 2027, so right when Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, they're kind of reaching their primes and their peaks, you might have Jose Berrios handicapping your salary. So this one kind of hurts me as well because Patrick Corbin and I, we're birthday buddies. We're both born on July 19th, so I'm not excited to do this, but He's not good. Now, it's not like he's always been bad. Patrick Corbin got 6 years, $140 million from the Nationals because from 2018 to 2019, he had a 3.2 ERA and an almost 11 strikeouts per nine and a 2.98 FIP. Those are absolutely elite numbers. But over the last 2 seasons, Patrick Corbin is 15-35 with a combined 6.05 ERA in 62 games started. He has a 5.14 FIP and the strikeouts have fallen off a cliff. The walks have gone up. The home runs per nine have gone up. Patrick Corbin at 6 years, $140 million. I honestly don't know how he wasn't number one, but it does get worse. I just need Anthony Rendon to play 150 games and get a little bit luckier because we know that in 2022, Rendon, he wasn't healthy, and when he put the ball in play, he was just getting super unlucky. As simple as that. But when you get a mammoth 7-year, $245 million in a contract from the Angels, you have to step up and perform. He hasn't really done that. Now, he was solid in the shortened season, but ever since that point, he can't stay healthy. He's making almost $40 million a year. When you're in the same lineup as Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, you have Brandon Drury, a bunch of other guys, Hunter Renfroe. I'm hoping that he bounces back because of all of the other pieces around him, but considering he hasn't been able to show me that, I don't know if I have much faith. But Christian Yelich and Anthony Rendon, those are my 2 predictions for guys that are going to bounce back and actually have a 120, 130 OPS plus in 2023 with big power numbers and great at getting on base. Defensively, we'll see. One of my favorite players of all time, I can't believe that Miguel Cabrera is on this list, but if you're a Tigers fan, you know that as much as you love Miggy, his contract has absolutely destroyed your chances of having a good roster. Even when you give money to Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez, you're kind of signing middle-of-the-road guys and expecting elite performances. It's just not going to happen. Miguel Cabrera got an 8-year contract, $240 million back in 2016. I believe his final year of the contract is 2023, and then maybe it can vest in 2024. But from 2016 to last year, he has a combined 113 OPS plus, which is still decent. He has a 350 on base percentage. But the thing is, if we take a look at the WAR, again, since he's gotten that contract, he's only accrued 3. I repeat, a 3 WAR since 2016, when before that, he was pretty much a walking 6 to 7 to 8 win player. The fact that he's gotten 3 wins over the last 6-7 years, yeah, for almost $40 million, you're not going to be happy about that. In 2021, he grounded into 21 double plays. Last year, it wasn't as bad at 11, but for me, Miguel Cabrera, he hogs the bases because he's so slow. Now, again, he's almost 40 years old, so I can't really blame him for that, but he is a rally killer, a momentum shifter, and not in a good way. To me, he's the 2nd worst contract in baseball because of how bad he's been for how long. And here we have it, the worst contract, in my opinion, going into 2023. Steven Strasburg, a former #1 overall pick, when he is healthy, one of the best pitchers in baseball. That's why he got 7 years, $245 million from the Nationals. So between Patrick Corbin and Mr. Steven Strasburg, the Nationals are just burning money straight in front of our faces. In 2019, Steven Strasburg had a 3.32 ERA and an almost 11 strikeouts per nine. They won the World Series. So what did they do? They rewarded their best pitcher, their ace, their former #1 overall pick with a ton of money. But ever since that point, from 2020 to 2022, again, about 2.5 seasons because 2020 was that shortened season, Steven Strasburg has only thrown 31 innings in 3 seasons. He has started 8 games, and even in those 8 games, he has a 6.89 ERA. He has a 4.9 walks per nine and an 8 strikeouts per nine. Everything that could go wrong with this contract has gone wrong, and then some. Which really pains me to say because Steven Strasburg honestly was on a Hall of Fame path through his first 1,500 innings. He had a 3.17 ERA and an almost 11 strikeouts per nine with a 2.96 FIP. When you're doing that from 2010 to 2019, pretty much a decade full of baseball. I know that he was injured throughout it, but for me, Strasburg was one of the most electric pitchers in baseball. He was a big game pitcher. I loved watching him pitch, but unfortunately, the game of baseball has been missing out because he can't stay healthy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you make of these contracts? Do you think that any of these 10 players are going to bounce back in 2023? If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. And also, if you're bored, there's a video right there. YouTube wants you to watch it, so watch it.